Welcome to the Phase 4 video for our term project. We are now moving into the design and story creation for our place to honor. It is time to pull all your research together and apply it to your design process. Granted, I've presented you with some very polished renderings on this particular page. But the goal of these images is to inspire your design, not suggest the level of rendering I am expecting. In fact, we will look at the quality of rendering to ease your mind on the next slide. So look at these different images here. You can see they have a broad range of characteristics, from being embedded in mountains, nestled in forests, and I think floating in the sky. Some look more like structures, some are more implied. Hopefully you will really embrace the creative options that your magical world, your extraterrestrial world, or your fantastical world suggests, and that you really just dive into it. I want you to have fun with this. Certain laws of gravity may not apply based on where your world is at. Things might be able to float. Really just embrace that creativity. This is going to be for a movie, so we really don't have a whole lot of rules when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to what do I mean by a freehand sketch? So these are both examples of the level of sketching that I would expect for your drawings. So your drawings are going to need to be a floor plan, one point interior perspective that shows really the most relevant view, an exterior elevation, and one decorative detail. So the drawings are going to be fairly loose and suggestive, as you can see by both of these. This would be an example of a detail. This would be an example of a one-point perspective. The goal is not photorealism. The viewer, however, should be able to get a clear impression of the space and its forms, as well as its general atmosphere. Shading is expected and will provide the necessary dimension to read the drawings. So we do want to start to see the forms come to life as you identify kind of a light source and then allow light and shadow to add great dimension to your space. Color is not required, but if you want to do some suggestive color, this is why I've shown you this particular image. Because you can see it's not saturated with color, but we start to get a feel for the coloration of the space. So color, only if you wish. So as I mentioned, you're required to submit a floor plan, one interior one-point perspective, one exterior elevation, and one decorative detail. Now the first three drawings need to be in the same scale so that we can relate them to each other. It doesn't matter what that scale is, because you're obviously going to probably shrink it when you scan it and place it into your document. All of them, at least the interior and the exterior elevation, should include a human form for scale. And note that this is a human form. So again, we're not asking for some photorealistic human to pop in. The decorative detail, which is this is an example, will be in whatever scale the viewer can see the detail. So you have to make this decision. You know, how large does a sample of it need to be so that we can appreciate what you're presenting? The decorative detail should be inspired rather directly from your character. For example, I might create a running motif of stylized lightning, you know, for my character Athena Justice, because she has that specific power. Or you might develop a column and or its capital, or some type of specific furnishing or equipment used for the ritual that you've created for people to honor the figure. So again, have fun with that. Think about what's most important to kind of get your full concept across to the person you're applying to. Once you finish your conceptual design, it's time to do a story. So essentially, to finish selling your design for this competition, write a one-page story or scene in which someone, a character, comes to visit your place of honor. So make sure they are from that world as well. You're writing creatively as far as crafting the story, But you want to make sure your primary goal is to bring your space and your design to life. Much like the precedent study, think of the experience and what it feels like to move through the space. Think of all of the senses. How does it feel to the touch? What do you see? What do you smell? And what does it feel like to move through the space? Is it dark? Is it light? Is it a kind of a straightforward path that you're drawn to? But do this in a way that's telling the story. Don't, perhaps say the character walks straight to the statue. Think more artistically. Also, make sure you have the character go through a ritual to honor your character. So when you come to this space, what am I supposed to do? Is there something that I kind of interact with somehow? I don't know, but make sure you include that in your story as well. So this particular phase is due Sunday, April 3rd by 11 p.m. via Teams. Again, always willing to answer questions. We'll have time in class to do so. You can always stop by. I'm also always happy to look at your first drafts. Like if you're kind of working through a process and you want to show it to me based off the design, happy to do it. So let me know, and I hope you have fun with this phase.